Okay, so we're at the point of the NBA season where some storylines are starting to develop. We just saw the Pelicans fire Willie Green as their head coach because they are abysmal right now, bottom of the West. Teams like the Pacers are very much struggling more than I personally would have thought, bottom of the East right now. So those are right off the bat maybe some two selling teams going into the deadline, and you have teams like the Kings, maybe the Grizzlies as well, who've been disastrous, and then some other bottom feeder teams out in the East and West. And then you have some buyers like the Pistons are shockingly good right now. The Bulls have been pretty good. Even the Timberwolves may look to buy those middle of the pack type of teams that still want to contend, but maybe not off to the stronger start that they thought they would be. Still very early on in the season. However, it's never too early for some mock trades. And Bleacher Report just put out this the other day on the 12th. One trade every NBA team would make if the deadline was today. And shout out to Zach Buckley. Normally, these Bleacher Report ones aren't very good, I must say. So we're going to get right into it and see. Yeah, come on. Asa Newell to the Miami Heat for my guy, Yakachonis. Kind of learned how to say it. I looked up a pronunciation. If you know, you know. I struggle with this name a lot. This trade makes no sense. No sense. What do they have to say about this? Major moves shouldn't be needed, in other words, but effectively backing up Trae Young remains an ongoing challenge. Definitely agree with that. However, I think they addressed some of the guard issues over there, especially the last couple seasons with guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Dyson Daniels. I think they have been playing very well without Trae Young so far, and they're keeping afloat right now. Sometimes they even look better without Trae Young. So I don't think he's even suited up yet this season. No, he hasn't. He has a groin strain. So we don't even know who he is as an NBA player yet. And Asa Newell, why would you give up him? You just drafted him. This trade makes no sense. I don't like it for either side. Moving on. Boston Celtics. Ooh, okay. I'm already liking what I'm seeing here. Anthony Simons and a 2027 first-round pick to the Nets for Nick Claxton. Now, I think the Celtics definitely should move on from Anthony Simons. I don't think he's really a part of that long-term roster, and he's on an expiring deal, so you might as well just, get some capital for him. And if you can end up getting Nick Claxton, who I do think would be perfect for the long term, and preaching Nick Claxton to the Celtics for about 4 years now. But he did just sign that 4-year, $100 million contract. I don't even know if they can get that on their books right now. I feel like they're such an expensive team, especially going over the luxury tax and whatnot. But they would give up a 2027 first round pick where you're getting Jason Tatum back. Hopefully Jaylen Brown's still there. Derek White, we'll see what happens at the deadline as well. I don't know what next year looks like for them, honestly. I don't think they just jump right back into contention at all. It could make sense then to address the interior deficiencies before that even happens. I do think Nick Claxton solves a lot of that center issue right now. Keita is your starting guy. Not a fan of. I do like him off the bench, though. But I do think that Nick Claxton would push the pace for this team a lot. He has proved himself in the past as a defensive anchor. It's really hard to shine defensively on a really bad team. I mean, the Nets have been terrible for as long as he's kind of been there, except for the first couple years. I do like this for actually both teams. I think the Nets get another first round pick. I think that's what they're trying to do right now. They get an expiring deal. They just take on some money. I do definitely like that for both sides, and don't hate that at all. And the Nets, we just saw that. Okay, moving on from that, we see a Kyle Kuzma trade. Miles Bridges to the Milwaukee Bucks for Kyle Kuzma and a 2032 first-round pick swap. Oh, my God. 2032? That's crazy to me. Not a Miles Bridges guy, obviously. Don't really like him. But I do like his game a little bit. And Kyle Kuzma has, for the most part, been abysmal this year. He's had a couple games where it's like, oh, okay, maybe he's a little bit back. No, he hasn't been great at all. I think Miles Bridges would offer a lot to Milwaukee, especially as another scorer. Ryan Rollins is kind of that second scoring option right now. Obviously, you have Miles Turner. Bobby Portis is definitely taking a step back a little bit. But I do just think it's a collective of guys over there, and I do think Miles Bridges was kind of fit that mold of what they're looking for. He would probably be what they hoped Kyle Kuzma to be for them when they traded for him. And for the Hornets side of things, I think you just keep playing and developing your young guys right now. I don't know if Miles Bridges is really a part of your long-term younger guys. Who knows what's going to happen with this team right now? Is LaMelo Ball even going to be on this team in a year or two? But I do think, regardless of what happens, you do have a lot of young talent like Conk-Nipple, like Brandon Miller, who I hope can stay healthy. You have Ryan Cockburner too, Sion James as well. So yeah, you got some guys who might be looking towards the future. I think it sucks for Charlotte because I feel like they've been rebuilding or retooling for years now, ever since Kemba was there, and they kind of just can't figure it out. But I do think they got a guy in Conk-Nipple, so that is a highlight. Yeah, don't hate that at all. Chicago Bulls sees Vooch to the Mavs for Daniel Gafford, Jaden Hardy, and a 2030 second-round pick, and another 2032 second-round pick. Why would Gaff go back to the Bulls? This is a nothing trade as well. I also think Vooch is playing like a contending team would give up a first-round pick for him. I think he's been phenomenal this year, one of the most underrated bigs, or if not players, so far in the season. And I think another team would kind of go after Daniel Gafford. I don't like this trade at all. I think this is a nothing trade. The Cavs. Ooh, Franz. Darius Garland to the Orlando Magic for Franz. Okay, let's read what they got to say about this. Admittedly, a Garland blockbuster is almost certainly more dramatic than anything Cleveland is considering. Garland is a really good player, but is he the ideal backup partner for Donovan Mitchell? Probably not. I mean, if the Cavs can do this would be a steal of a trade. I don't think it's just that simple, though. A swap. The Magic do lack the point guard play, but I don't think that Garland is really the answer. However, I do think Franz would be the answer for, Cleveland. They're kind of trying to do that with Lonzo right now, and those minutes have looked okay so far. But, yeah, definitely just small backcourt. It would be nice to, lengthen it up a little bit. Yeah, I just don't think it's that simple. I think Franz is way better, and no disrespect to DG, because I think DG's really great when healthy, but I don't think they would give up somebody with, a lot of injury history the last couple years, a little bit older, for someone who has been phenomenal and has a lot more upside. Moving on, because I don't think that is a good trade at all. Dallas Mavericks. Okay, Anthony, we know this is coming. We knew this is coming. Anthony Davis to the Detroit Pistons for Tobias Harris, Beef Stew, Jaden Ivey, a 2026 first-round pick, a 2028 first-round pick, a 2027 second round, and a 2031 second round. Whoa. This is a lot for Anthony Davis, in my opinion. Now, maybe player-wise, you'd be okay giving up Jaden Ivey, who, again, has had a lot of injury history the last couple years as well. Beef Stew, who's been great for you, but you're getting a guy in Anthony Davis who, can be a top 10 player in the league when healthy. And Tobias Harris, who has been pretty good for you as well. You're just kind of depleting a little bit of that depth, which I love about Detroit. I love how deep they are as a roster. I don't know. I wouldn't feel very good about giving up a bunch of first-round picks. I mean, giving up 2 first-round picks, and, it's 2026 where they are first of the East right now, so this could be like a 30th overall pick, high 20s first-round pick, and then maybe in 2028, relatively the same, because going forward, you'd have Anthony Davis, you'd have Cade Cunningham, you'd have your guys develop in Ron Holland and Asar Thompson, Jalen Duren, who's been phenomenal. So, you know what? Maybe. I don't hate this for either team. I don't know how I'd feel about it going Dallas's way. I kind of wouldn't mind seeing Jaden Ivey in a new setting. Okay, Denver Nuggets. The trade sees Zeke Naji, Daron Holmes, and a 2030 first-round pick swap to the Celtics for Sam Hauser. Honestly, I love this for both sides. The Nuggets have definitely been struggling a lot more than I would have thought from 3 this year, especially with the acquisition of Cam Johnson in the offseason. And my man Sam Hauser would definitely fix the shooting problem over there. He's been actually great for the Celtics this year. And you get off a bad contract in Zeke Naji, who, I feel like they've been trying to shop for like 4 years now, ever since he's been in the league, really, besides his rookie year. Daron Holmes, who, you feel whatever about, and a 2030 who really cares at that point. Yeah, I don't hate this at all. I think the Celtics too. You kind of get a little bit more capital to potentially deal off if you're going to be contending next year and in the years coming forward with Tatum and Brown. Yeah, I don't hate this at all. I would be sad to see Sam Hauser leave Boston because avid Sam Hauser guy over here. And moving on to the Detroit Pistons again. This is exactly where I want Laurie to end up, in Detroit. I think Laurie's been phenomenal this year. Maybe the most underrated guy in the league, top 5 in scoring right now, but I just think his 3-level scoring ability for this Detroit Piston team would be the nail in the coffin, I'm not going to lie. Let's see what they got to give up. Tobias Harris, who, contractually makes sense. He's going to be in any of these big trades. Jaden Ivey and Ron Holland and a first-round pick. Okay. So how do you view Ron Holland? What do you think his ceiling truly is for this team going forward? I think, quite frankly, Asar Thompson is your wing going forward. I think everybody can kind of agree on that. I think they're very similar in the athletic standpoint. Defensively, I think they provide a lot of the similar things. It feels a little bit redundant to have both of them. I'm not going to lie. Even when they're on the court together, it kind of feels a little weird. And then again, a guy like Jaden Ivey who has shown you a lot. I think what they truly need is that secondary scorer. A guy like Pascal Siakam is another guy I might want to see on this list. So they make a good point here where since they're still lacking creation outside of Cade Cunningham and it's holding their 15th ranked offense back, and is it too early for them to kind of be buying and contending? Who knows what their kind of timeline has been. But I just think if you're in the mix, I think you capitalize on it if you have the assets to do so. And I do think that regardless of what happens here, if they give up Ivy, they give up Ron Holland in a first-round pick, I do think they'll be able to recoup, later on down the line. You still have Cade Cunningham. You'll still have Laurie. You still have Asar Thompson, Jalen Duren, who's been phenomenal, Beef Stew. I truly do think this team would be a legit, especially in the Eastern Conference that's very weak this year. I think now is the time to buy, and I would be a huge fan of this trade. Honestly, both sides, I think the Jazz sake, you get 2 young guys who are promising and can fit the timeline for you with all your other young guys, and then you get a first-round pick, and Danny Ainge loves the first-round picks and likes finessing. Golden State Warriors trade sees Trace Jackson Davis and a 2030 second-round pick for Justin Champagnie. I mean, sure, I guess gives them a little bit more shooting. D'Anthony Melton hasn't even played this year, so maybe they're trying to fill that void right there. But I actually liked Trace Jackson Davis a couple years ago. Houston Rockets. Okay, I'm interested to see this. Tari Eason to the Sixers for Jared McCain. Huh. Is it just that simple, though, to get Jared McCain? I can't lie, I love Tari more than anything. I think he can shine in another place, I'm not going to lie. Especially that wing core over there is a little bit log-jammed, but it seems to be working. But I think Jared McCain is a little bit better than this right now. I think no picks attached is kind of crazy. I don't know, though. Let's see what they got to say. The Rockets are another team that doesn't need to make a deal, but every time their offense sputters even a bit, which admittedly isn't often, folks will have wondering whether they might need to make a move to address Fred VanVleet's absence, which we can agree. I think that is definitely what they would be doing at the deadline, is going after, more of a steady point guard rather than Reed Shepherd or, throwing Asar at the, or Amen, sorry, at the 1. But I don't think Jared McCain's the guy they would kind of go after. I think it would be more of a steady, veteran guy. I don't know who that would be off the top of my head, but I just think this would be a weird, one-for-one trade that very rarely happens in the league. Moving on, Indiana Pacers. Jarris Walker to the Pels for Yves Missy. This is also a nothing trade. Jarris Walker has been very disappointing this season. The first game of the season, I was like, okay, he's here. He's going to be able to develop offensively as well. He had a phenomenal first couple games. And then he fell off a cliff, and they're starting Jeremiah Robinson Earl over him right now. So that should tell you a lot. This is a nothing trade either. I think the Pels have a lot more trades to make than just trading for Jarris Walker. Okay, the Clippers. Oh, God. John Collins and a 2030 first-round pick to the Sacramento Kings for DeMar DeRozan. I don't even want to react to this one. They have so many old guys over there at the Clippers right now. James Harden's been phenomenal. I can't lie. But I don't know how much I can watch of Bradley Beal. Chris Paul, I hate to say it because he's one of my favorite guys ever, but wow, it's over for Chris Paul. But I don't think DeMar solves your issues, especially going into the season, believing that you were a contender, and maybe they still are. Maybe they're just old and the regular season isn't, something that they really are looking forward to. But, you got to get it done. I'm not a fan of this at all. I kind of just want to move on. See, here we go. Yeah, the Lakers. The trade sees Jared Vanderbilt, Dalton Knecht, and a 2031 first-round pick to the Mavs for Daniel Gafford. I really like Dalton Knecht, though. This would kind of be one of those trades where I'm a little bit sad. He hasn't been the greatest in his 2 years, and I know they already kind of dealt him off before, so maybe they aren't that high on him at all. But Jared Vanderbilt, I'm okay getting rid of, trust me. But if this is the price for Gaff, I think that would be really solid for the Lakers, especially giving Luka Gaff back would be phenomenal. I think, again, the vibes would be pretty high and great there. I do like this, actually. But, yes, they are 23rd in defensive efficiency, and it's borderline impossible to imagine LA's center search has been concluded when DeAndre Ayton has a wholly abysmal minus 14.4 net rating differential. Now, I think he's actually been pretty good the last couple games, given the sample size and whatnot. Defensively, definitely not the anchor that you want. So I think, having Gaff as an option to be able to anchor that a little bit more, especially when LeBron comes back, even though, he glitches out on defense sometimes and just his controller dies. I do think the interior presence would be great for them. So I do like this trade a lot. Okay, Memphis Grizzlies, who's another team that we just talked about. The trade sees Ja to the Kings? To the Kings? Really? From Malik Monk, Dennis Schroeder, Devin Carter, 21st. Oh, man. The Kings are a disaster. And I don't think... obviously they're getting rid of 3 guards right here, which, again, is the problem with that Kings roster. They have an overabundance of guards over there. And they would be giving up a 2026 first-round pick who they don't draft well anyway. So these picks, honestly, for the Kings, don't even matter. Because they drafted Devin Carter, and they're already trying to get rid of him. It is what it is. The Kings are disastrous. If they got Ja Morant, good for them. I hope the fan base would be happy with that. But, if I was the Grizzlies, I would be appalled by this trade. Grizzlies do draft very well, so maybe these draft picks could turn into something, really well, actually. So, Grizzlies side, I don't know. I have no opinion on this one, actually. Miami Heat, okay, sees another Ja Morant trade. Tyler Hero and Fontecchio to the Grizzlies for Ja Morant. It just can't be that simple. I think Ja Morant is a little bit more valuable than this. As good as Tyler Hero has been, as good as Fontecchio has been one of my favorite role guys in the league so far, I just don't think that I would like to see Ja in a Miami Heat uniform. I think that would be pretty sick, can't lie. But I think it would take a little bit more than just this. I think Tyler Hero kind of hit his ceiling. Maybe Ja Morant did too. I don't know. I don't really believe he did. I think he's more than capable of kind of turning it back on. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Miami Heat can never be ruled out of a star pursuit, and maybe they'd run more pick and rolls if they had a more on-ball talent like Ja Morant. Yeah, that's the other thing. He's such a heavy pick and roll guy, and the Miami Heat have this whole new offense with Noah LaRoche, who really transcended the Grizzlies as well. He would be playing with Noah LaRoche again. It would be a little bit weird because I think Ja Morant was kind of the underlying factor of why they ended up going a different direction with their coaching staff last year with Taylor Jenkins and Noah LaRoche. And obviously he's running that over there consultant-wise with the Miami Heat, and they have the best pace in the league right now. So that's something that Noah does a lot, and they don't run a whole lot of pick and rolls. It's very 5-out oriented. It's very move, cut, team-oriented basketball. And Ja Morant is a ball-dominant guy. However, I do think if he just truly bought into that, fast pace, move around offense, I think it could be very beneficial for him. Milwaukee Bucks. Okay. Trade sees Kyle Kuzma, Andre Jackson, and a 2031 first-round pick to the Blazers for Jeremy Grant. Okay. Now, Jeremy Grant has been balling this season. And it does seem a little redundant to have him on that Portland Trail Blazers team with kind of that younger direction going forward. However, he kind of has been like one of their best players. I've watched a lot of Trailblazers games this year, and him and Drew Holiday have been phenomenal. It is kind of weird seeing them on like a young-oriented team. Bringing a guy like Kuzma, Andre Jackson, I don't love it for them, but you are getting a first-round pick. It's 2031 though. I don't know if they really care about that. I would hold on to Jeremy Grant. I can't lie. I think he's been phenomenal. Might warrant a little bit more than just some salary filler guys. Like I don't even think Kuzma would really fit into that rotation. Bucks, if the Bucks were able to do this, it's a W trade. W trade for the Bucks. Timberwolves. Okay, here we go. This is what I'm talking about here. Trade sees Naz Reid, Dante DiVincenzo, and Rob Dillingham in a 2029 second-round pick. Okay, no first. Interesting. To the Memphis Grizzlies for Ja Morant. Now, it would be sad to see Naz go. I can't lie. But if I'm the Timberwolves, I'm doing this 100%. I'm doing this 100%. Ja and Ant together would be, must-watch TV night in, night out. You're losing Naz Reid, which would definitely suck. I do think he's been one of your most valuable players for the last couple of seasons, for sure. But you still got Julius, Julius has been playing phenomenal so far this year. You like Rudy because you've started him, over Naz Reid the last couple of years as well. And then Rob Dillingham hasn't really been that great for you so far. Obviously, small sample size, but I do think if you have the ability to go get a guy like Ja Morant and pair him with Anthony Edwards, I do think you do that. I think the Timberwolves haven't done the best job of building around Ant and his play style. They've kind of forced him to play a different play style than when he came into the league, which I think has been working for him. He's, top 10, top 7 player in the league right now, obviously, and his three-point percentage and volume has been phenomenal. However, I do think, creating more driving lanes, creating a faster pace offense for them to really shine in transition situations. The trade sees Yabusele, I can't pronounce my guy's name. I am familiar with you though, and Tyler Kolek, and a 2026 first-round pick for Ty Jerome. I don't think it would take a first-round pick to get Ty Jerome away from the Grizzlies. I can't lie. I don't hate this trade. I don't. I think the depth has been something that the Knicks have prided themselves on so far this season, especially with Mike Brown coming in there and really testing out some different lineups and putting Jalen Brunson in a little bit more off-ball situations. When you bring in a guy like Ty Jerome, who is honestly perfect for setting up an offense like that, I can't lie. I can't lie. A contending team like this, I would probably give up that first-round pick too if that's what it took. I love Ty Jerome. He's been one of my favorite guys in the league for the last 2 years, 3 years now. But you do still got Deuce McBride too, so the guard play over there seems a little redundant. But, they are kind of mixing it up with Tyler Kolek in there as well. I don't hate this at all. I don't even really know how Gershon's been for you this year. I'll have to look at his stats later on. But I actually don't hate this at all. AC Thunder sees Topic and Kenny Hustle to the Suns for Grayson Allen and a 2027 first-round pick. Yeah, I think it's really unfortunate for Topic that he's kind of fallen into all this, injury stuff, and obviously I really hope he gets well soon because it's so out of his control right now. But just haven't really seen him at all so far in his young career. And then Kenny Hustle, who I always forgets over there, still in OKC. And for Grayson Allen and a first-round pick, I don't even know if a first-round pick would be really warranted for that. Especially with Topic, with all of his injury history and whatnot, and the timetable is very unknown for something as severe as what he has going on right now. So, not sure, but Grayson Allen has been hooping so far this year, absolutely hooping. So, I think if the OKC Thunder can get a guy like this, it's wraps. The Orlando Magic. Okay, John Isaac. Yeah, I've been wondering what's going on with Jonathan Isaac because he looks terrible this year. Can't lie. Jet Howard, too, and a 2020 second round pick, and a 2028 second round pick for Malik Monk. I don't hate this. Yeah, I don't hate this. The Magic just ranks 19th in offensive efficiency and remain bottom third in both three-point make and percentage. Yeah, I think Malik Monk gives you a elite scorer off that bench, especially, 3-level guy, which I think Malik Monk truly is. Maybe not so much the mid-range, but he can get to his spot. He is a little bit streaky and overpaid a bit. I can kind of agree with that, especially for the role that he kind of plays. But he's with the Kings. I kind of take what's happening over there in Sacramento with a grain of salt, because just a few seasons ago, he looked very legit and, on a good team. So I don't hate this at all. I think the Magic definitely need to make some moves around the edges to increase that three-point making. I just think guys get over there and they forget how to shoot. So maybe Malik Monk will be the guy that doesn't. Okay, the Sixers. We already saw this. Jared McCain to the Rockets for Tari Eason. We're going to move on. Suns, Nick Richard, and a 2027 pick for Jose Alvarado. Suns can't possibly plan to be point guardless for the foreseeable future, can they? Devin Booker's giving everything he has, but pulling double duty as team's top scorer and table setter takes a toll. I think he's been damn good at it, though. I think it's working. The Suns are sneakily like 8-5 right now, and they're the mid of the West. They're in the playoffs right now. The Suns, who I thought were going to be a bottom feeder team, I wanted nothing to do with them in the beginning of the season, and quite frankly, I'm kind of enjoying how they've been playing. So, but I don't hate this, obviously, because they do need a little bit of more depth. I think Colin Gillespie's been pretty solid for this team as well, coming in for the bench and kind of commanding that second unit. I do think Jose Alvarado kind of gives you a little bit more defensive identity, even though Colin is phenomenal. He tries. He's like TJ McConnell type guy. But it might seem a little redundant to have both of them on the same roster if you do like Colin going forward. But I do like Jose Alvarado a lot, and I think a contender would kind of give up, a little bit more. Yeah, like a first-round pick for a guy like him to command your second unit. Wow, Blazers in the Laurie sweepstakes. Jeremy Grant, Scoot Henderson, Chris Murray, a 2028 first-round pick, and a 2031 for Laurie Markkanen. Now that seems like a lot for Laurie. To give up Scoot in this trade and 2 first-round picks, I'm not a fan of. I do think that is a little bit much for Laurie. We just saw the Pistons kind of giving up 2 of their young guys in like 1 first-round pick. I do think this is a little bit much. And I don't really think it moves the needle too much either. I don't think Laurie is like the missing piece over there in Portland at all. I just think it's a little bit more development based and, some things around the edges rather than a second star for somebody who we don't even really know who that first star is over there right now. You got Denny, you got Shaedon Sharpe over there, you got Drew Holiday. You got some guys kind of like filling the roles as the star. I just don't think this is the right situation for Laurie right now. And I think they kind of just like take their time and they don't really eat away at their young core as much. But I do think it would make sense for a team like the Pistons right now. Not a fan of this trade at all. Let's see what they kind of got to say about it. Marketing could either assume focal point duties in Portland or form a 1A, 1B partnership with Denny. You got Tamari Kamara, Drew Holiday, Donovan Clingan. Defensively, they would be really good lengthwise because people forget Laurie is 7 foot. Talk about Jan Hansen, who is very far away from even touching the lineup. So don't love that. We already saw the Jaw trade. Makes no sense at all. Spurs. So let's get freaky, they say. Okay, definitely getting freaky with this one. Stephon Castle, who I'm not giving up. I'm sorry, I'm not giving up. I think he's been phenomenal. I don't care about the log jam over there. Quite frankly, if I were the Spurs and I was going to get rid of a guard, it'd probably be De'Aaron Fox. Can't lie, even though you just got him. Stephon Castle, Jeremy Shohan, who's kind of just fallen out of that rotation over there, which is a little bit unfortunate. Keldon Johnson, who's been pretty solid, Kelly, who I love seeing on the bench, and a 2027 first-round pick, 2030 first-round pick, and a 2032 for Giannis. Now, I think Giannis is staying. I don't think Giannis gets moved at the deadline at all, so this is never going to happen. I can almost promise that. But Luka did get traded. That's my baseline. Luka did get traded. So who knows? But I think if you're the Bucks, I truly do think this might be one of the better teams that you could kind of pry away some guys at and still kind of recoup for the future. You know, you're getting an all-star level guy, a good rotation, and good rotational guys, and 3 first-round picks. Granted, you're losing, the best player ever in your franchise and arguably, the best player in the NBA. But, who knows? This would be crazy. Imagine Giannis and Wemby on the same team. That'd be unfair. Cancel the NBA. Raptors. Okay. So this trade sees R.J. Barrett, Grady Dick, Ochai Agbaji, and a 2028 first-round pick to the Grizzlies for Ja Morant. Now, his value has been all over the place on this. So they give up R.J. Barrett, who I'm a huge fan of. Grady Dick, too, who you just drafted, and I think he's been phenomenal for you. Ochai Agbaji's been pretty good defensively. And a first-round pick for Ja, where the Heat would only give up Tyler Hero and somebody else. It was Fontecchio for him. No picks. Seems a little bit weird. I think this is a lot. Would be sad to see Grady Dick go. And again, I'm a huge fan of RJ Barrett, but he's kind of been tossed around a little bit already. So I don't know how they feel about him going forward. For a guy like Ja Morant, and you would pair him with, Scotty Barnes going forward, which, I don't hate at all. And I love the Raptors too. They're a team. Oh, and Brandon Ingram, sorry. A team going forward who I really, really like. And then Jazz. I think we already saw one with Jazz. Yeah, Lauri Markkanen. For all these guys. If the Jazz weren't already focused on the 2026 first-round pick, you think Walker Kessler's season-ending surgery ensured the tank is on in Utah. That's another name who we haven't seen yet is Walker Kessler. We're not going to see him because there's one pick left. But, I don't know. I think the Jazz definitely do have to blow it up. So, and then the Wizards. Whoa. Okay, they're splashing this one. CJ McCollum, Bub, Cam Whitmore, 2029, 2030 first-round picks, and then 2026 second round, 2027 second round for LaMelo Ball. Do you think that this could be something that is nearing in the future? Is a LaMelo Ball trade? I'm not sure if the Wizards... imagine LaMelo Ball going to the Hornets, who he spent, the last 6 years with, bottom feeders, play-in teams, to the Wizards. And the Wizards might be in a little bit better of a spot than the Hornets going forward, I think, personally. I really like Alex Sarr. I love Keyshawn George. I love Trey Johnson. Those guys around LaMelo, I think, would just elevate his entire game. Him and Alex Sarr would be phenomenal together. Lob threat guy, defensively, could anchor that whole roster while LaMelo kind of gets out in transition and runs and sets other guys up. I think that would be a phenomenal fit, honestly. I don't know if this would be the year that a trade like this would happen, but I don't hate this trade. I'm not gonna lie. That's all 30 teams, a trade they would make. Shout out to Zach Buckley. Let me know what y'all think. Peace.